Spotify was founded in 2006 in Sweden by Daniel Ek. 2 years later, Spotify launched to the public with over 50 million songs. In 2023, Spotify is the biggest music streaming platform in the world, and it has changed the music industry by dramatically changing the way that we stream music. But despite being the biggest music streaming platform in the world, Spotify hasn't even had one profitable year in its lifetime, and they have lost over 4 billion euros. But how is the biggest music streaming platform able to lose so much money? And are they able to ever turn a profit? Let's find out. Spotify has 551 million monthly users, and around 220 million of them pay for the premium version. If we look at Spotify's financials, we can see that the reason why they are losing money clearly lies in the high royalty fees that they have to pay the right holders for streaming their music. For every dollar that Spotify makes from music streaming, up to 2/3 of that goes to the music labels. To put this in perspective, let's say that Spotify makes $100 in revenue, and nearly 70% of that income goes to the right holders of the music. Spotify is left with such a small amount of money to pay for all their other costs like marketing, research, and taxes, to name a few. It's not surprising that they don't make enough money to cover these costs. But why do the right holders of the music get such a big amount of the income? You might be asking, if Spotify is the biggest music streaming service in the world, why can't they just try to negotiate with the right holders of the music for smaller royalty fees? But it isn't that simple. The artist that makes the music normally don't own the music that they make. Instead, record labels like Sony Music, Universal Music Group, and Warner Music Group, which are known as the Big Three, owns the rights to the music, because they help the artist by promoting their brand and music. These big record labels then get to own the rights to the music of the artist. But you might be thinking that it's great for the artist, but that isn't the case either. It's normal for artists to only receive around 10 to 16% of the amount of money record labels are making of their music. These record labels make up around 70% of the music recording industry and 60% of the music publishing industry. And it's normally from these three record labels that Spotify licenses their music from. Without the music of these three music labels, Spotify would suddenly feel empty for songs, and the users of Spotify would quickly turn to another music streaming service, like YouTube Music or Apple Music, which both are priced at the same price as Spotify. That gives these enormous record labels a lot of power over Spotify and over how large the royalty fees that Spotify gets charged should be. But what can Spotify do to solve this problem? Spotify can't really do much about the 30-70 split between them and the record labels, but they are working on other ways to make money on Spotify, like how Spotify recently expanded further into podcasts. Podcasts are more profitable than music because they aren't controlled by the record labels, making it much easier for Spotify to negotiate smaller licensing fees. Music has a gross margin potential of 25 to 30%, while Spotify says that podcasts' long-term gross margin potential is much higher, around 40 to 50%. This means that if the users of Spotify listens to more podcasts and less music, then the total revenue that Spotify pays to the record labels decreases, which maybe will result in profit for Spotify. Spotify sees that music streaming isn't profitable, and that is why they are spending so much money on podcasts. Spotify's goal isn't to be the biggest music streaming platform anymore. It's becoming the world's #1 global audio platform.